We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live boxing ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live. Terence Crawford is at it again. Now, I've already made a video. Check out that unpacked. Your boy Ego, I got more to say. I gotta get unpacked some more. In the words of Busta Rhymes, give me some more. Y'all ninjas had enough? Give me some more. I gotta give y'all some more. If you like this format and this style of content, subscribe to the channel. Now, Terence Crawford did a UFC podcast, pound for pound, with Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo. He was saying a lot of filth, flaring, and filth to me. Some of which is when he set his sights on Errol Spence Jr. That was a bad look, a bad take, a bad look, and perhaps one of the dumbest things that Terence Crawford could have done. Here's why. Many people, and I know it's not just me, but many people believe that Terence Crawford's best win is Errol Spence Jr. So, since people believe that is your biggest effort, your best win, then it would behoove you to not diss Errol Spence and instead talk up Errol Spence. Like, for example, Floyd Mayweather. And it's not just Floyd. I'm just giving you one example out of many. But Floyd Mayweather and other boxers, they seem like there's a level of almost like a mutual respect after they shared the ring with a particular fighter. Meaning, once they can do, like, it's weird almost, because in boxing, two guys will get ready to fight, right? There's trash talk involved, back and forth, rah, and banter, right? So despite all that trash talking, all that promotion, all of that buildup, after, since boxing is a gentleman's sport, I think you see that some people have a respect for that fighter. It's a brotherhood. So what I've seen more often than what Crawford is doing is you'll have fighters who are basically impartial to the guy that they fought. Like Floyd Mayweather in this example. I remember Danny Garcia fought Robert Guerrero. Kind of a close fight. I thought Danny Garcia won. Floyd, I think he was in the crowd and they interviewed him, and he only shared the ring with Robert Guerrero. He never fought Danny Garcia, right? So the one guy that he shared the ring with, Guerrero, in the fight with Danny Garcia years later, Floyd was like, nah, Robert Guerrero won. But most of the people that I remember talking to at the time, even people who were there in LA for that fight, they had Danny Garcia winning pretty comfortably. But again, Floyd, it makes sense for him in a close fight or perceived close fight, if there's some controversy, to build up Robert Guerrero over than the guy that you've never fought, which is Danny Garcia, because then that makes you look better. So in boxing, you would almost want for your past conquests, people you've beaten, to do well in their career. Like the fact that Caleb Plant has built himself back and still remain competitive with David Benavidez, beat McCombie, knocked out Darrell, that helps Canelo, because Canelo was the first to knock out Caleb Plant and the only person to knock him out, because David Benavidez didn't even knock him out, right? And he took his title unified to become undisputed. So that helps a guy like Canelo. Andre Ward, when Kovalev, keeps fighting and beats Anthony Yard or something like that, that makes Andre Ward look good because Kovalev was still formidable, right? So you would want your past ops to do well. Oh, but not Terence Crawford. Instead, Terence Crawford decides to hate, and I do believe it's hate, on Errol Spence, and, you know, just go low for no reason. What do I mean? So for starters, Errol Spence, he's kind of out the way. I haven't heard much from him. I haven't seen much from him. Errol Spence has been relatively quiet, right? Relatively quiet, not really bothering anybody, taking care of his kids, spending time with his loved ones. And then here come Crawford randomly still bringing up his name and sending shots at him. And I just feel like, why? What's the point? And like I said at the start of this video, it's also foolish for the simple fact that the worse you make him look, people are saying that's your best win. So what does that say about your record? And I don't want to get too involved in this particular video. Maybe on a live stream would be a better format. But I gotta mention this whole attributes and accolades and stats. Some people try to stat you to death. Sports don't always work like that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that we should look at accolades and like certain milestones more so than context and resume. So for me, boxing is not this picture perfect cookie cutter sport where you got guys like, let's say Gabe Rosado. It'll look like he has all these losses, but if you really watch the fight, he shouldn't have lost some of them fights. But politics got in the way, ASI won or whatever, right? So you can't really view boxing as like, oh, Gabe Rosado lost this many fights. Yeah, from a technical perspective, from a box rec perspective, he lost all these fights. But if you know boxing, then you'll know that there's more than meets the eye a lot of times for various reasons. And I feel like people like Crawford particularly, they try to stat you to death and talk about accolades and like, oh, I moved up multiple weight classes, as if moving up wholly just gives you more to speak of. Like, sure, no doubt, to move up is an accomplishment. To move up is commendable. But to try to make it sound like moving up is the end all be all, not really. Like, would you rather have Marvin Hagler's resume and accomplishments, win, lose, or draw, or Terence Crawford's? That's a real question. For all the boxing historians, would you rather, like, if you had to be reviewed in the sport of boxing, would you rather have the career of Marvin Hagler, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, or would you rather have the career of Terence Crawford? And I think most boxing diehard fans and people who are being realistic would pick Hagler. He knocked out Thomas Hearns, who's like 6'1", Detroit. He knocked out John the Beast Mugabe. Sugar Ray Leonard, he lost to him, but that was controversially. Like, he controversially lost to him, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, his body of work, Alan Minter knockout, all these accolades that he has amassed, for me, it clearly trumps anything that we've seen from Terence Crawford. And that's just being totally real with you guys and keeping it a buck, right? So for me, Marvin Hagler, you could say like, oh, he only fought in one weight class. Yeah, but what did he do in that one weight class? He got busy in that one weight class, period, right? So I don't buy into and subscribe to what Crawford oftentimes is trying to sell with this whole accolade thing. Like, oh, I'm 2X undisputed. That's good. You know, I'm not going to say it's bad, but you beat Ndongo to become undisputed. And like, for example, another reason that metric doesn't work in boxing is because there's too many politics. If you are aligned with the right people, then you could get easier access to certain things. Like, for example, right now in boxing, Dmitry Bivol is undisputed. That's a fact. He beat Beterbiev, close fight, but they said he beat him. Cool. So he has the belts, right? Bivol got dropped, from what I was told, by David Benavidez in sparring. Benavidez happens to be his mandatory, but because of politics, we might not get to see David Benavidez versus Bivol, and instead Turkey could try to get in the way of that mandatory obligation, which is a fresh fight, a better fight. I don't really need to see Bivol Beterbiev part 3. The first 2 fights were cool. I'd rather bring in some new blood and give David Benavidez a crack. Benavidez been trying to smoke out Canelo Alvarez. We know what time it is with that. Canelo wants no parts of it. He has, but Benavidez thinks he's Superman. Well, then you got to be the kryptonite. But you don't want to give him an opportunity because you don't want to fight him. And you never say the stuff that the BS that Canelo says to his fans that they try to gobble up is beyond stupid. Canelo will talk about Benavidez ain't this. His resume is you fight nobody. You fight one Anthony Durrell, one guy, like one guy, yeah, right? You're doing all this, but then who's William Skull fought? You don't even know who he is. No one knows who he is. Who Avni Pilgrim fought? You know what I mean? Eardrum, whatever these dudes are, right? You don't talk about that. So you give John Ryder, I won't deny you. I'm a John Ryder. You don't want to mess with me. I got my Yeah. You can fight all these other guys on DAZN and all that, and you don't have no qualms about it, no problems about it. Mention David Benavidez. It's like one Anthony Durrell. I was born ready. Stop it. Stop it. So again, politics. David Benavidez should have been got Canelo. Politics. David Benavidez, as mandatory with the WBC, should be able to fight undisputed for a fight with Dmitry Bivol. Maybe he doesn't get that because of politics. So Crawford, the politics, the people you were with, the guys who had belts, Top Rank was able to get that off and you became undisputed. But it wasn't no crazy run. In fact, I will raise you this. Alexander Usyk, both of his undisputeds are far more impressive than Terence Crawford. If you know, you know. Because Usyk, look at who he fought at cruiserweight. Not just the tournament, but the Michael Hunter who knocked out Bacoli, right? Who later on knocked out Jerron Big Baby Anderson and stuff like that. So Usyk almost knocked out Michael Hunter. Usyk did knock out Tony Bellew. Those are great wins. Then we talk about the World Boxing Super Series tournament for the Muhammad Ali Trophy. Usyk got busy and he was fighting people in their backyards, Gassiev and all this stuff. So Usyk was the man. I would put that against Terence Crawford's 140-pound undisputed, no problem. Then, comparatively speaking, you became undisputed at welterweight, Crawford, and then Usyk became undisputed at heavyweight for his second time. Usyk's heavyweight run, he fought more dangerous killers at the right times than Crawford did at welterweight. Book it. Because Crawford fought Mean Machine coming off a draw to Ray Robinson, and if you watch the fight, he should have lost that fight. He fought Errol Spence after accident and the whole mouthpiece fiasco with Ugas that people said Errol Spence got hurt in that moment. I don't know, right? I didn't think he was hurt, but looking back, maybe he was hurt. You know what I mean? You fought him after, like, he had obstacles outside the ring. He looked like a shell of his former self, like something was off, right? Then you fought Benavidez, who again wasn't a career 147-pounder. He got shot in the leg and he pushed you 12. I was at that fight, right? Jeff Horn, who really didn't beat Pacquiao. Again, more politics, as I suggest. So yeah, technically Jeff Horn beat Pacquiao. He really didn't beat him though, you know, if you know boxing. So Crawford, in his effort to prove that people don't know boxing and insult Errol Spence, he makes himself look bad, because Errol Spence is your best win pretty much across the board. People believe that. And you rather slight Errol Spence to knock him down for whatever reason when he ain't done nothing but give you props. And you rather do that instead of uplifting him, which in turn, if you had some like mental composure, that would make you look better, because one, you'd be the bigger person, you would be bigger and people would respect it. And outside of being the bigger person, it would have made your resume look better. But you're telling us pretty much we shouldn't be giving you all this credit for an Errol Spence victory, which to me makes no sense for a fighter to do that. Now, Crawford is an amazing talent in boxing, but when he speaks and he does these interviews, it's very condescending, and he's acting like no one else knows boxing. Like if you have different values, ideals, or points of views, but then a lot of stuff he says doesn't make sense. Like he'll be like, oh, I got a ton of signature wins. Name them. Ricky Burns. Bro, who's that signature to? That ain't a signature win to nobody. To you, maybe personally, but the world ain't looking at it like that. First of all, Ricky Burns ducked Adrian Broner, my guy AB. Ah, man, you know, algebra books, you know, AB ain't beating him. Archbishop, right? He didn't want no smoke with Prime Broner. That's a fact. And then you got to him, and it's like, that's an okay win. What did Ricky Burns really do? Nothing, right? But then somehow, some way in Crawford's mind, he'll build up a Ricky Burns and be like, man, but Ricky Burns and Ricky Bobby and, you know, Ricky from Boys in the Hood, that's a great win. And then somehow the rest of the world is like, man, Errol Spence is your best win, your best performance with the best win, da 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 da. And you're like, he ain't a Hall of Famer. So you just look bad. You look bad because people think this is your best win and you're really copping a squad on it. Now, the other thing that makes no sense that Crawford does, which is very contradictory, is it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One minute he's like pro boxing, and then the next minute his comments seem anti-boxing. Let me explain. One minute Crawford will like give these sob stories about, man, you YouTubers, man, you fight fans, man, boxing fans are the worst. UFC fans are better. Why you feel that way, Crawford? Because boxing fans don't care about nothing. The moment you lose, boom, they call you a bum. Everybody's trying to protect. I hate this one. Everyone's trying to protect their O because of Floyd. That is not true. I don't know why people keep repeating that and parroting that. It sounds stupid, but whatever. This is what Crawford will say, these types of things like, oh, everyone's trying to protect their O because of Floyd. And you fans, these guys are risking their lives. Pay some respect. Show some respect to the fighters. You YouTubers got to show some respect for the fighters. Why y'all acting like this to the fighters? Y'all never do this. It's all about the boxing fans and the writers. You never do this to the fighters, right? And he's doing all this. But then what you're complaining about, that's exactly what you do it with Errol Spence. Hey, you can't make this up. Bro, you're saying you pesky YouTubers, you pesky boxing fans, you don't know ish about boxing, and y'all disrespectful, making fun of the fighters when they lose. This is why guys are protecting their old life, trying to be like Floyd and stay undefeated, blah, blah, blah. But then you talk, Errol has one loss to you, and you say, I'm great, I'm special, so that shouldn't be a big deal. But then you are rejecting him from the Hall of Fame, saying he don't belong there. The rest of the world thinks, hey, if Arturo Gatti and Sylvester Stallone from Rocky, hey, yo, you gonna tell me you're gonna fight? I'm afraid, okay? Like, bro, Sylvester Stallone playing a fictional fake character is in the Boxing Hall of Fame. You can't win. I'm afraid, all right? I don't know. A fake character made it to the now. See, this is the problem I have with a lot of people in boxing. They are fake. Boxing people are some of the fakest. They have all these standards, high standards for who gets into the Hall of Fame when it comes to certain people that you want to insult, like what Terence Crawford is doing. You don't say nothing about my boy Sylvester Stallone, Tango and Cash. Okay, let's do it. Right? Cobretti. Here's where the law starts, and I start. Sucker. Bro, you don't care that Cobra, that cliffhanger. You're a real piece of Quaalude. You don't care that he's in there. Or Michael Buffer. Bro, Michael Buffer don't really have to risk his life, and he made it to the Hall of Fame. Michael Buffer is the announcer. Let's get ready to rumble. Bro, so Errol Spence is risking his life, came back after a car crash, and still competed at least 2-3 times, right? And won 2 of the 3 fights. But he can't make it to the Hall of Fame. But Vinny Pazienza, he got in a car wreck, came back, ended up losing to Roy Jones and stuff like that. And he can make it. Arturo Gatti can make it. Bro, what are we talking about? And there's plenty of people. Ricky Hatton. What did Ricky Hatton, what's his claim? Because he fought Mayweather, he got knocked out. He got cooked. You fought Floyd. Floyd check hooked you, and you fell into the turnbuckle, lost your undefeated record. Don't get me started when Manny Pacquiao fought him after that. I might want to like Ricky Hatton. No, bro, Pacquiao 2-2-2'd Ricky Hatton. And I'm not saying this to diss Ricky Hatton. He cool. I like Ricky Hatton. But what I'm saying is, if we're going to scrutinize, let's scrutinize everybody. Was Ricky Hatton's run? Bro, he beat a faded Costa Zoo and Castillo way after Floyd had beaten guys like Castillo, right? That's his run. Then he came out of retirement after snorting and doing lines and bumps on tape, and he got cooked again. That's this legendary Hall of Fame run. That's what I'm saying. You guys want to scrutinize, like people like Terence Crawford want to scrutinize who's in the Hall of Fame. Let's scrutinize everybody. How Errol Spence can't make it, beating Sean Porter's and Ugas. Ugas beat Pacquiao, and his next fight was Errol Spence. So he fighting people with momentum. He's unifying all the belts, and he came up short against Crawford, who we know is a talented fighter. So it's like, why Errol can't make it? But Arturo Gatti and all these other dudes can make it, no problem, no questions asked. You know what I mean? It's just disrespectful. And then you got people who, like Lou DiBella's in the Hall of Fame. He a promoter. He not like risking his life. You know what I mean? So it's very hypocritical of Terence Crawford to at 1 minute be like, man, you stupid boxing fans, I blame y'all. Y'all don't give the fighters no love, right? Like Crawford put out this. He said, there's a lot of great fighters that don't get the respect from y'all, and that's crazy to me. These fighters putting their lives on the line to entertain y'all, and you be so disrespectful. Crawford said this in January. This is a perfect example. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, aka Terence Crawford. You see what I'm saying? You just said that the fans are disrespectful. These fighters are risking their life to entertain you. The least you could do is give them some respect. But then you get on a podcast with UFC fighters because you know they don't know enough to like give you any pushback, right? They can't give you no pushback. So you get on this podcast and they don't even know what they're talking about. One dude's talking about Errol never unified, which is completely false. And then that's where you go and then you insult Errol Spence. So that's what I'm saying. This is hypocritical. And y'all know it. You could be the biggest Bud fan. You can hate Boxing Ego and be a Bud fan and still got to admit that Boxing Ego is cooking right now. You still got to admit that I'm the best in the business and it's not even close. Right is right, wrong is wrong. If you don't live by that, you're not real to me anyway. So I don't care. I don't need your viewership. I don't need your validation. Real is real, right is right. If ever there's a time where I'm wrong, I got to always admit that I'm wrong. Cool. I have no problem doing that. I'm a man. But y'all, some of y'all boxing fans, you do care. And you have like, you know, certain fighters you like and favoritism, and you don't want to keep it real on them. But I'm going to keep it real no matter who you are. And that's the way I'm built. If you don't like it, then you don't have integrity. That's the only reason you'd be mad at what I'm saying right now. Crawford is a tremendous talent in boxing. Bad take, what you said with Errol. And then, like I said in the first video, because I told you, I've been cooking. I stay cooking. Why do you even care? Like, why? You're a multimillionaire. You beat Errol Spence. He out the way. We don't know if he's ever going to fight again or whatever. Why do you even need to bring him up? Like, especially like kick a man while he's down type of stuff. What does that say about your character, bro? Like, just think about what I'm saying to you people. Errol ain't took away no credit from Crawford. I'm sure, to me, I can't, I'm not Errol, so I can't speak for him. But for me, something was wrong with Errol Spence. I really believe that. I don't know what that something was, but something was off. Whether it was the car wreck, something terrible in camp happened, or sick, something was up with him. It looked like nothing, no version of Errol we've ever seen, right? And then, you know, some of it goes to Terence Crawford because you have to be a good enough fighter with the right style to exploit that, right? But my point is this: Errol still, I'm sure he could, if he really wanted to, he could have got like nasty and petty, like, man, I was sick, I had anthrax and and laundry list, all the things that went wrong. But Errol, being who he is, a real stand-up one, you know, Errol Spence took the high road and just said Crawford's a talented fighter. Maybe he could beat Canelo. He ain't said nothing negative, right? And he didn't make no excuses, public excuses that we really heard of. And I'm sure he has many that he could have threw out there that are probably true, but, you know, people would have been like, oh, you're making excuses, Errol. EJ, stop it. So he just ate it and took it on the chin. You live to fight another day. And I respect that. But Crawford, out of nowhere, is like fixated on Errol Spence. And to me, that's envy and jealousy. I really believe that. I believe that Errol Spence gets a level of love that Crawford feels he is owed, and he feels he's done all this, and his team and everybody, echo chamber, probably tell him, hey, this is the love you're supposed to be getting. So what do people do when you feel this is the love that you're supposed to be getting? And if you're not necessarily getting that, that can turn people salty. And depending on how you embrace that, that can make you hate on other people, because you're like, hey, Demeter, how come you don't want to play with my froggy? Hey, what movie is that from? To all my movie buffs. Because your frog ain't hopping in my direction. What movie is that from? Hey, yo, Demeter, how come you don't want to play with my froggy? Y'all don't know y'all movies, so I don't even know why I asked that. But, you know, you feel like, hey, how come y'all still praising this guy that I beat, Errol Spence? Why he an urban legend like that? Why he still getting respect? Why y'all want to see him come back? Why y'all not buying my Madream pay-per-view? You know what I mean? Why y'all want to see him come back? Why you care about Errol Spence news? And that's why it seemed like envy and hate, because every opportunity you get, you taking him. And it's only one way. It's one-sided. It's not like Biggie and Pac, you know what I mean? Or some kind of rap beef like Lil Flip and T.I. and both people were releasing disses. You the only one really dissing him. And you're doing it on a UFC podcast, right? Doing it on a UFC podcast, like, that's cool and that's fashionable. And then what you're saying don't make sense. Like I said, you're saying the fighters deserve respect. They risk their lives, but then you the first person knocking another fighter down, beefing with Tank. What happened to, there's a lot of great fighters that don't get the respect. You literally said on wax, Tank, I really don't like that guy. I don't know. And Tank said it best when he was interviewed and asked about that. He said, I don't care what Crawford like. He was like, you don't know me to dislike me. And that was some of the realest stuff Tank said regarding the situation. You don't know me. We ain't never kicked it, never chopped it up. We ain't hanging in the same circles. You don't know nothing about me to hate me. And again, I think all these things are slowly but surely showing you a bit more about Crawford's true intent and personality. You know what I mean? How you hate a person you don't like and that you don't know. How is that even a thing? How does that even come across? Like, it's like that. You almost like put yourself down a level. That's like, I got fans that say, oh, I hate boxing ego. Ego suck. But they watch all my video. I don't know you. Like, how you hate me and we ain't you don't have my phone number. I don't owe you money. I ain't stole your wife. I ain't stole your girl, even though I can. Y'all know I can. Y'all know I can. But I ain't done nothing. We ain't had no, because I put out my boxing takes and you don't agree with it. You hate me, so be it. I'm good with that because you never knew me to even like or dislike me. So why would I trip off somebody off the internet? But then when you a celebrity and you come out and you don't have no actual like backstory and you just like come out and say, oh, I really don't like this guy. This guy, I really don't like it. Because of what? You know what I mean? And then, like I said, Crawford be like, oh, I'm not a hater. If you have to keep saying you're not a hater, maybe you are being a hater. You know what I mean? That's just how I see it. If you have to keep coming out and saying, man, not to be a hater, but maybe you doing just that. So I thought it was pretty distasteful, especially consider Errol Spence is a cool dude and he not shooting shots at you. And then beyond like the respect level thing, why would you do this to your best win? Like, this is the win that people associate with you. And finally, if what I'm saying, boxing ego, the Machiavelli, the Tupac of my generation, Tupac Shakur, Amaru Shakur of boxing talk, if what I'm saying don't make sense, then maybe you'll feel this. You gotta feel me. Y'all gotta feel me, right? If Errol is not a Hall of Famer and not gonna make it if he were to retire now, why did you and your fans make such a big deal when you beat him? I'm gonna say it again for the slow people in the back. If Errol is not this, Errol is not that, his resume is not impressive, all the things they're saying about you, but whatever, why did your fans jump up for joy when you beat him? Why did you walk out with Eminem for that fight? Like, it was like all the stops were pulled for that one fight, right? You seem angry at the press conference. I'm Terence Crawford. I gets active. It looked like you were super focused, locked. You were on a mission. Came out with Eminem. And remember, Terence Crawford, he did a whole parade. Why did your city throw a parade after you beat Errol Spence? And you had big fishing nets because he the big fish. And why did they throw you a parade for beating him if he's not good and he's not a Hall of Famer? You see what I'm saying? People they honestly end up telling on themselves because now this stuff don't make sense. Now this don't make sense. And I know the Bud Buddies are at home as I speak, scrambling because the boy Ego came out and cooked them yet again. Because deep down in your heart, you know it don't make sense. Boom. This was Bud Crawford. This was Bud Crawford, y'all. Why did Shakur, he holding your fishing net, which is to signify that you beat Errol Spence, the big fish, and y'all had a whole parade for beating the guy that you're now coming out and saying pretty much the win don't really matter. Who cares? That's not that, you know what I mean? he ain't a Hall of Famer. And for me, what also shows that is hate is, why are you focused on Errol Spence? Okay, my question would be this. If you're so why are you focused on Errol Spence if he's a Hall of Famer rather than anyone else? Like, why are you ain't saying Jose Benavidez or Mean Machine or any list of guy that you fought already, right? And here's more. It's a parade inside Omaha for Terence Crawford. So he had a fisherman vest signifying the big fish victory. Why did y'all do all this if Errol Spence ain't done nothing? Why did you have a whole parade? It just don't make sense. You're not going to make this stuff make sense to a person like me because I know too much. Why don't you question Mean Machine's Hall of Fame status? Why are you so focused? What about Madrimov? That's your most recent opponent. The man got like 12 fights and he got cooked by Vergil Ortiz worse than Crawford. So he has 2 back-to-back losses. You don't even have 15 fights and you got back-to-back losses already. You had a belt for 3-4 months and lost it to Terence Crawford in his first fight moving up. Why don't you talk about Madrimov? Talk about, is Madrimov a Hall of Famer? Why are you focused on one guy, right? A black American fighter. Someone, you're black, he's black, and then you focus in on that one black PBC fighter instead of Mean Machine, Jose Benavidez, Madrimov, or anybody else. Or like, we know you're cool with Sean Porter. Errol beat Sean Porter before you, and it was like a more focused Sean Porter who wasn't podcasting, right? But you're not bringing none of this up. You only bringing up Errol Spence's shortcoming and, you know, putting on the plate that he won't make it. You know what I mean? And I've already talked about it. A lot of you guys are acting almighty with this Hall of Fame as if there's other fighters or non-participants who didn't actually fight who are in the Hall of Fame, and you're acting like it's this like secret society that only a chosen few with the baddest resumes ever and all wins can get into. And that, if you look at the list, they have fictional characters like Rocky Balboa. For making a movie, Sylvester Stallone is in the Hall of Fame. And again, you don't see Crawford stress this. It's just all Spence. So I gotta say it's hate. We unpacked. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that.